Yeah.
You guys had the early version of Twitch. Is like watching someone that actually looks exactly like you play the game you want to
That's
play.
right.
Sounds surreal.
And we would give each other Glizzys.
I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. You got all these inside jokes now, and I'm just like, I don't know what the wall meat is. I don't know what the glizzy is.
You don't know what wall meat is? It's from this game. It's like you destroy the wall, and there's meat in the wall.
I thought you were joking that like T got into like the food store in the house and ate some old canned meat or something.
Hello and welcome to the TwinCast pod. We are a podcast where we pick up an old video game, dust it off, turn it around in our hands, and try to ascertain if it holds up today. My name is Clark, and joining us for our Steam panel today is Nugmac, which has a secret meaning if you spell the name backwards. Cleverly disguised. How are you, Nugmac?
You're never gonna know it's me. So.
And we also have Nug.
I like the word of nug.
And we also have Trevor, who bravely ate the wall meat, and now we're paying the consequences.
Oh man, I might have to run out of the room a few times.
How are you, Trev?
Oh well, I'm paying the consequences.
Yeah. And finally, we have a returning host who wordlessly answers the question, what is a man? Welcome, Matthew.
Yeah.
What is a man anyway? Is it a miserable little pile of secrets?
They should hire you to do the remastered voice.
You would have been way better than the janitor they had.
You know, it's funny you say janitor because I always thought that those lines sounded like they were recorded in like a gas station bathroom. Like the echo's bad, the microphone's far away. It's like they literally just pointed at some guy down the hall and told him to do both voices.
Yeah.
This was 1997 too. I think by then they would have realized they could get some good voice acting.
Yeah, on the PlayStation.
I mean,
no less.
Metal Gear was pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Was this
like top
early or
tier.
late PlayStation?
97.
It's kind of in the middle. Like, the PlayStation came out in 95. This came out in 97. And we're gonna dive into that. But, I mean, just if we haven't figured it out yet, we're talking about Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. Probably one of the most well-regarded PlayStation games of its time. This is what we do here on this podcast, is we go take a game from generally the 80s and 90s, take a look at it, and find out if it holds up today. Next month, we are going to be doing GoldenEye 64. It's a GoldenEye. You can see it going on here in the background.
Yeah.
Trevor's going to be leading that up, so if you guys want to engage with us on that discussion, play GoldenEye ahead of our discussion next time.
Grab
And-
4 buddies and
Yes.
Yeah.
do some split screen action.
Yeah. 5 frames per second screenplay action.
Yeah, only true heroes play that game for the single player.
It's got a great intro song, too.
It does.
Yes.
It does.
And just one other housekeeping thing, you'll probably have noticed that we're doing something a little bit different here. We're doing an in-person podcast. I can reach over and I can touch my co-host here.
You sure can.
Yes. This is something that we just kind of decided to do on a whim because we have next month our boys weekend where we get together with a bunch of our high school friends and we play old video games there and new video games too. And we wanted to try and do an in-person podcast there, so this is kind of a test run for that. By the way, Matthew, I know that we've probably mentioned it to you, but you're always welcome to come. I don't know how far it is for you to come down to that, but you are welcome to come.
I'm like about to pull a Trump and be like, you're telling me now for the first time.
Really?
It's the first time I've heard of this. I was going to ask you if it's Buena Vista.
Nope.
No,
Well,
we mentioned it last time you were on. We didn't mention it on the podcast or anything like that. But we rent out a cabin and we get together and we
Serious?
yeah, with
That's so cool.
Carl and those guys,
Gene comes.
and Tim. So
That'd be so cool.
Maybe someday we'll have some sort of contest that people can win a ticket to the boys' weekend.
we call it Sausage Fest. We won't tell you why we call it Sausage Fest.
But you'll learn very
I can do the
quickly.
math. I'm pretty sure I can do the math. Well, you guys, I do kind of live in a cabin in the woods here in Montana, so you're welcome to have it up here sometime.
Oh, okay.
As you can see, I got theater seating behind me. It's pretty well equipped. So
Yeah, well, we might have to fire up the barbecues up there sometime to barbecue some sausage.
yeah, there's plenty of sausage up here. Trust me.
You guys getting hot?
All right.
All right.
So let's do a little bit of an intro to this game. You heard us talking a little bit about it. 1997. It's a Konami game. Konami was really on top of their game in the 90s. Like, yeah, it's crazy the good stuff that they produced. The director is Toru Hagihara. Programmers Koji Igarashi, and the artist was Ayami Kojima. So it launched on the PlayStation, but then it came to a bunch of other platforms, the Saturn, and I know there was like a 360 port, and
They don't have any good ports nowadays, I can tell you that.
it is a little bit harder to play on modern systems, unfortunately. There is an iOS version and an Android version. Did anyone try that?
I didn't try
I
that.
didn't try that.
I wouldn't recommend trying to use the digital controls.
I did a lot of research on this before playing it on deck, and like Reddit forums, and everybody said the original is still the best.
Really?
Like the 360, was it 360 that was the second gen
Yeah.
Xbox?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Apparently there was a port there that's pretty good, but it doesn't have the original language anymore, the original voice acting anymore.
Oh. They re-recorded it?
And so, yeah, because it was so bad. And then people are like, actually, it was so bad it was good. I kind of like missed it.
It's like part of
And
the
that's
lore
like
now.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so the genre would be technically action RPG, but this is one of the games that's like the pillar of what was called the Metroidvania now, and we actually talked about that first one with you, Matt, like 5-6 months ago. So this is kind of bringing to a close that little duology of games.
Yeah.
So yes, and at the time, I think there was a little bit, like, people kind of mix up the history. I think people, for some reason, get their history mixed up with this game, and that people think that wasn't well received at the time, but it actually was really well received and it sold well. The thing that was kind of going against this game at the time is it was kind of at the height of 3D craze. People were really into 3D graphics and pushing 3D graphics, and this was the game that took a step back, kind of unconventionally, and was a 2D game at the time.
But what holds up better today? Look at this game back here we got playing right here, and then compare it to what Matt's got playing in his. It's not even comparable. Symphony
You
of the
can
Night
still
is,
go on Steam and pay $15 for an indie game that looks just like this.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
not
that
gonna find
the
anything
art
that looks
style
like James
is
Bond.
classic, and it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
It's almost unfair because like these people were like trying to push the boundaries, but like because of it, their games show their age so much more. I feel like.
Yeah.
But at the time, we were like, that literally looks just like James Bond. There's 3 pixels, but that's Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
We believed it.
All right. Well, let's get into our personal experiences, not just with this game. We can talk about this game, but let's talk about the Castlevania series in general at first. And let's kick it off with you, Matthew. What are your experiences with the Castlevania series in general?
So I loved the first 3 on the regular Nintendo, the old NES. It was kind of like some of the better games, and it was a similar side scroller, but it was just completely linear. There was no diverging paths, very basic controls, but the music was awesome for NES, and the art style was really adult. It was kind of like the flip of a Mario. And so when this came to PlayStation, it was like, oh, I didn't know you could have Castlevania not on Nintendo. It's pretty cool. I actually played this one second because I had the Game Boy Advance at that time, and there were many follow-ups of Symphony of the Night on Game Boy Advance and DS.
Yeah.
And they're good in their own
I
right.
love those games, by the way.
They're great. They're super fun, and they're perfect for the handheld. They look just as good as this on a little screen. But I was like telling you guys about those games, like, no, it's the Aria of Sorrow or the Mirror one. I can't remember the name of it, but I was telling you guys, I'm like, you really need to play Symphony of the Night. And I was like, but I'm a poor and I don't have a PlayStation. I only have a Game Boy Advance right now. And so I finally got around to playing this, and I was like, oh, okay. Sometimes you realize something that's like, it seems familiar even though you're only seeing it for the first time. It's because it's been copied so many times because it was just so good.
Yeah.
It's just great game.
Yeah.
You know.
T, let's head it over to you. What is your experience with Castlevania?
I have no experience with Castlevania, so that was we were talking I think last episode, and you guys asked what I thought we should do next, and I said Castlevania because I hadn't ever had any exposure to it. So I really wanted to see what the series was about because I'd heard so much about Castlevania and especially Symphony of the Night. Like Matt, like you play it and you're like, oh, like I've played like 10 of these games, you know, but like this was like the game, you know, this is like one of the OGs in the Metroidvania. So I played a few Metroidvania games, but never any Castlevania.
And Cam, you can kind of give our shared experience. That usually aligns pretty.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up on the Nintendo. We never owned any of the Castlevania games growing up, but we played them either from friends or by renting them. I mainly remember the first one the best, us playing through that. I'm not sure if we never got into the second and third one as much.
So Tim had the second one.
Yeah.
I remember watching Tim play that game, and I remember trying to play it. It was so cryptic.
Yeah,
And
that game was hard.
Yeah, this is Simon's Quest.
Simon's Quest, yes.
Yeah.
How did
Didn't
that? How did-
Castlevania 2 go the same way as Zelda 2, where they're like, they
It's-
tried to make it like
it's different.
a full open world, and it just didn't
It's got
work
like
as good.
RPG elements ahead of even this game, but
Yeah.
it was actually more of a Metroidvania than
Let's see.
the first or the third one.
Which one? Either 2 or 3 had a night-day cycle, too.
It was the second
That
one.
The
was it.
second one. And that one used to confuse me, all like when we were younger, that you would get different NPCs that would come in at night and the day, and it would just, I remember wasn't
It
very
was so
approachable.
obtuse, Trevor. Like, it was really bad translation. Like, it was really hard to understand what the NPCs were telling you. And sometimes they
We
would,
has all your bases,
Yeah.
except worse.
and sometimes they would straight up lie to you.
Yeah.
Like they would say like to go use an item somewhere, and it didn't have any effect if you did.
Yeah, and then you're like, did they just give me a quest, or is this just filler?
Yeah.
You never knew.
And I do have a memory of maybe playing Bloodlines once or twice. Did we rent that? I'm pretty sure we did.
We rented it. In fact,
Yes.
one of the times we rented it, we brought it up to our cabin up at Bear Lake.
And Castlevania Bloodlines was awesome too. I felt like as the Nintendo ones, when they got localized here to the States, they kind of neutered it. They're like, oh, there's too much Christianity in this. We got to take these crosses out. Got to take these Bibles out of here. Get these crucifixes out of here. I guess the censors or whatever, the localizers got a little more lax as it got a little bit more into it. And by the time you get to Castlevania of the Night, I mean Symphony of the Night,
America was just
all that,
regardless by that point.
America's just
We'd already been through Mortal Kombat and all that stuff.
So, Cam, to your point,
Yeah.
the Castlevania was not the original name on the Famicom in Japan. It was, I'll never pronounce it. It's like Akuma Maji Dracula, but it was basically Demon Castle Dracula.
Yeah,
and they knew
Akuma
the American
is
market
demon.
wasn't okay
Yep.
with demon.
Yeah. I actually had just picked up a twin Famicom. So I have a twin Famicom now. And I have, and then I have a disk drive, and I have Castlevania 1 on a disk drive. And I pop it in there, and you can listen to the expanded audio on that too. So it's pretty awesome.
So cool.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
So yeah, we Cam and I have a pretty big history. I know that we rented Castlevania 3. This game specifically, I remember going to our friend Brian Sperry's house, and he had it. And it was, again, kind of in the middle of this 3D craze, and I was really interested in it because it had like full voice acting. And I didn't realize it was terrible at the time because I was too young. But it was just cool to be able to hear the game talk to you. And then the music just sounded so much better than anything that we had heard up to that time. And I just remember being infatuated with it. I think we must have borrowed his copy.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, and that's how I first played it as a kid. So
Yeah, and this is one of those games where Clark ended up playing the majority of it, and I just kind of watched.
Was he hogging it, Clark?
Yeah,
well, we kind of did that as
he got Final Fantasy VII and Castlevania, and I got like Final Fantasy VIII and like Crash Team Racing or whatever. He would play those, and I would play those.
Yeah, we would have like different games that would be our game, and then we watch the other one play the other.
Yeah, and it was a good compromise because it's kind of like Twitch, you know. I just sit and watch and comment on what Clark played. So, not to spoil too much, but this is actually my first time playing it all the way through by myself without watching someone else play. So, anyways.
Yeah.
You guys had the early version of Twitch is like watching someone that actually looks exactly like you play the game you want to play.
That's right.
Sounds surreal.
And we would give each other Glizzys.
I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. You got all these inside jokes now, and I'm just like, I don't know what the wall meat is. I don't know what a glizzy is.
You don't know what wall meat is? It's from this game. It's like you destroy the wall, and there's meat in the wall.
I thought you were joking that like T got into like the food storage in your house and ate some old canned meat or something. And made him. You said he got sick or something.
Also, yeah.
No, I just say that he ate the wall, the meat that came out of the wall in Dracula's castle.
It was like a rotisserie chicken or something like that, right?
Can't you change the sprites though? Like you can make it look like fruit. It's a setting in the port. You can make it look like fruit or like meat or like a vegetarian one.
Oh, I did hear about that. But
it's pretty cool.
It's not the PlayStation version you can do that in though. I don't think so.
It's one of the ports.
One of the ports. Yeah.
That's a setting.
funny.
Yeah, I didn't realize was in demand. Changing your meats to vegetarian dishes in Castlevania.
People
Symphony
get
of the Night.
easily triggered these days. They can't even stand to see a chicken.
We're fine.
It
We're
has to be
fine.
carrot.
We're fine with the crucifixes, the Bible, the demon stuff. But like, I am not going to eat that rotisserie chicken. I want a salad.
Well, honestly,
Pete will
if you
come
guys
after you.
remember the '80s, it was super edgy to joke about like devil stuff
well,
back
the
then.
demonic
because
panic, right?
The satanic.
Satanic panic.
Satanic
like,
panic, yeah.
I don't remember too
like,
much
West-
about that when I was younger, but
My mom was all in. Like West Jordan Police did like a seminar it was like a community outreach about how to have identifying satanic groups. And there wasn't any.
No, there wasn't.
But they like really thought there was, and like people went to jail for this.
And what's
There's
funny is they
documentaries about it,
they demonize some of the most nerdy things like D&D, like these nerds playing D&D where they're like summoning demons or something.
but rolling dice. Yeah, that was like super hardcore back then.
Yeah, can you
was.
imagine in the 80s
Our
if they
little
saw a game like
community.
this, what your mom would have thought?
I had to hide this kind of stuff to get away with it,
oh,
for sure.
I'm sure we're going to get into this, but this game has some imagery in it that our parents would not have been okay with.
Really?
Oh yeah, how many bare breasts do you see in this game? There's
And explosions of blood everywhere too.
I mean, it's all
good,
stylized and it's not like sexual at all, but I'm sure that our parents would not have been down with that.
That's pretty
You
funny.
had to be an
Yeah.
underground Satan worshiper back then. That's super lame.
Oh man, they were all in on it, and so like this was considered. I remember my mom thought everything was the occult back then.
Back to Castlevania Symphony Night. Let's talk about what this game is, like how this game plays, like what you're doing minute to minute. And let's start with you, Matt. Like if you're just explain this to someone who doesn't know what Castlevania Symphony Night is, how do you explain like what it is you're doing when you're playing this game?
Okay, so this builds upon what we talked about last time with Metroid, where it's a linear path, diverging paths. You can go multiple ways. You will eventually find a blocker where you cannot get past some new thing where you need an item or a skill to get past it or unlock it. So you have to backtrack to get where you're going. The map is important. The save points are similar, or actually exactly like Metroid. Which is like, nowadays games save every 2 minutes and like you don't even remember to save and you're right where you were. But this one was actually part of the fun, is it's like the save points seem strategically far enough apart where you had to actually, as the kids say these days, get good enough to get from one save point to the other.
And hopefully you don't
The
get called
part-
to dinner while you're trying to get to the next save point.
That was a big part of it too. Is it's like I can't just turn it off. I need to get to a save point. And the amount of arguments between parents and kids back then had to be like every parent knew about it. But anyways, one of the things this did to build upon what Super Metroid did that was really cool is random drops that were equipable. And so this is kind of one of the first games. I mean, I'm sure the JRPGs did this in a way.
They did, yeah.
But this is one of those games where it was like, oh, every playthrough could actually be different, and I could keep farming to get a randomized drop or a special item and leveling up. And so you could just be like, I can't make it from save A to save B. I'm going to just cheese this for 2 straight level ups. So it had random equipable items and leveling up, which is something that Metroid didn't have without like items.
Yeah. T, coming in with fresh eyes, do you have anything to add to what he's describing here on the gameplay?
No, yeah, if you know Metroidvania games, you know how it's a slow burn at first, and that can be rewarding and frustrating at the same time. And I found myself super sour on this game at first, honestly. Like, I was not enjoying my first 30, 40 minutes of playthrough through this game, and I was like, what is the deal with this game? Like, how is this so popular? But I started to get to it, started to get through the map, and I was like, okay, I see what it's going for here, and I started to buy into what they had going on. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of exploration, it's a lot of trial and error, and it's something that I think is pretty unique to the genre, not super present in a lot of games. It's not giving you constant like endorphin hits. It's definitely making you work through it, and that's cool. I like that about Metroidvania games, but it's also the frustrating part about Metroidvania games.
Yeah. So Cam, question for you. Matt talked a little bit about some of the things that this brought new to the table. Like, what else do you see that this game brings that was new to the table in 1997?
The thing that stood out to me, and Matt talked about this a little bit, is the varied types of weapons and drops that you can get, and more specifically the way you can equip them. You had a right hand and a left hand, and how you equipped that. You could either choose like a small quick weapon, if you want to do that, maybe it won't do as much damage. You can do a slow two-handed weapon, and then on your offhand, when you have a small weapon, you can have a shield, or you could have an item in your thing. So the drops are varied, and they all do different things. They have different bonuses. So it's kind of like you pick how you want to play. Do you want to be able to go slow, play defensive, hold out your shield, block things, or do you want to go fast and keep your momentum and go fast and jump over and dodge things? I kind of found when I was playing it this time, was trying out the different things and find out what I liked, and then sticking to that. And what I liked was a small quick weapon and a shield in my hand. And I would quickly attack, and then if they were throwing projectiles at me, I had something to block with. And so that's the way I preferred it. But the thing that was great about this game is you could choose how you wanted to play it. And any style of play is okay. I found that I didn't hardly ever cast spells. We haven't talked about spells, because I just found like this is a waste of time. I'll just go and attack.
You can play the whole game without even unlocking one.
I know. I mean, I think I unlocked 3 or 4, mostly just because I was curious, but I hardly ever used them. So
there's the one that sucks all of the energy from the enemies and gives it to you, which is actually kind of a broken one.
Yeah.
That's
You got to hit them to get the blood back.
No,
right?
that's a different one. There's one that actually like drains the life and then pulls it into you. There's the one that you attack them and the blood hits you and that heals you. But there's one, I think it's the most powerful one in the game, and it's kind of hard to do the input. You got to go like forward, back, round, and then back to do it. And
it's quite the
it's called
Hadouken.
Soul Steel, and he goes Soul Steel and like.
Oh yeah. I do know. Yeah, you have to like. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So yeah, those spells, you can unlock those from the very beginning of the game. You don't have to find them. You just have to know the input.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, you can like go to the librarian and he will tell you what the input is if you buy it, but you can just do it.
You can do it. Yeah, and
I
as soon as
didn't know that.
you put it in, then you have it. So
That's interesting, and that does bring up something that I do like about this game that like Clark said, I guess it technically is an action RPG because there's a level up aspect of it. Compared to Metroid, like the Metroid that we played, like there's a lot of different variables that you can mess with when you're playing this game, and it rewards you for just grinding. It rewards you for being lost because you're leveling up while you're being lost. You can choose your different play styles. You've got your health meter, which is its own resource. You've got your freaking, I don't even know what it's called, your heart meter, and then you had like your energy, meter.
Yeah.
And so there's like a lot of different things that you're juggling, which makes it very. It makes it very dynamic. There's a lot of things to mess around with.
And the cool thing is, you don't have to even focus on many of those things. You can probably just go through the game, just slashing everything with your little sword, and you could probably be just fine doing that. So that's what I like about this game, is you can choose how you want to play, and it's fun. That's
Okay.
what.
So there's a few things I kind of want to dig in jumping off some of the things that you guys are talking on. Let's start here. Let's talk about difficulty. Matt, let's start with you. Like, what do you think about the difficulty in this game?
It was, so for the time, this was considered harder. Not like impossible, but harder. One of the things that this does well that is kind of, so it was actually kind of like an early prototype for Dark Souls, actually, where you've got to make it to little bonfires to rest and get your life back. But if you died in between, all progress was lost.
Yeah.
So and that includes your experience and items you picked up on that run. And so modern games would, if you leveled up a level in between, would let you keep that, and maybe even let you keep the items. But you could truly be trying to get from save A to B and die 3-4 times, and then your playtime's up, you got to go to dinner or whatever, and you made no progress. Yeah. And so I liked that. I think it definitely inspired games today. But yeah, it was harder for its time.
Yeah.
And not because it was bad controls, that it was like balanced to be that hard.
I want to throw this question over to you, because you're the kind of the fresh eyes on this series. You're coming in, you actually have experience with games that have been inspired by this. Like, how do you feel the difficulty holds up?
There were definitely some spots that I would get stuck on. I would never really say any of it was hard. I definitely think the difficulty comes in, like what Matt said, like in trying to, adventure past that next hump in the game. So I think that's where, and so I kind of cheated because I was doing save states on the Steam Deck like I usually do. So that difficulty was taken away from me. That said, I thought that some of the yeah. So it's super easy. What are you guys talking about? But I still thought that the gameplay was varied, fun, and challenging enough in that it made you think. There was bosses that you had to strategize around. So I think that it's adequately challenging today, like even with an experienced gamer.
Yeah, I think Cam and I might have a similar perspective on the difficulty here. Maybe I'll let you talk about the difficulty, and I want to see if it aligns, Cam.
I felt like it was adequately difficult, and there are some things that I did this time that kind of broke the game and made it almost too easy for me. So if you're playing normally and you're going through and discovering it yourself, it, like what you guys said, it's difficult but doable, and you can even do it without a guide for the most part if you explore enough. But as I was going through this time, Clark inspired me. He sent me a screenshot that he had farmed the Chrysogrim, and so I'm like, that's one thing I want to try, is the best weapon in the game is to get the Chrysogrim. So as soon as I got to the inverted castle part, I went over to where the shmoos were, and I farmed the shmoos, and I got the Chrysogrim, and then I just blew through the rest of the game, super easy, killing everything without even really blinking an eye, super easy. So yeah, that's this time I played it. It was breeze and cake. I did it over a couple-day period while I was on vacation. Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys know, one of the endearing things about video games of this era is, the dev teams were probably 4 or 5 people tops. And so there was, they didn't have like game-breaking bugs, but you could do what's called a sequence break, where you actually can make a jump on one. It's really hard to get. Mega Man had a lot of these, but it's sequence break where you could unlock it in the wrong order to break the game. But there's a huge one in this game. You know how like you start off OP, as the kids say,
Yep.
and you have all your abilities, you lose them. It's a common Metroidvania thing. But you can skip the screen that death is on that takes them all away, and you can keep them all from the beginning.
Did you do that, Matt?
I didn't do it. I wanted to play it.
It's kind
as
of
it was
weird to do.
supposed
You got to like the door before it. You got to like do a bunch of stuff, and then go in there and you can skip it. If you watch speed runs of it, you'll see people do it, and it's insane what they do.
I mean, the gear you have on is good, but it's not the best gear in the game. It's like the a la carte sword, right?
Yeah, but it's good enough to get you through the base game
for the
pretty
beginning.
much.
Yeah.
You're one hitting everything.
Well, I remember because that first couple swords that you get aren't very good. In fact, you start by punching things, and then but you get that short sword pretty quick.
Yeah. So I mean, my experience kind of matches yours, Cam, where it feels like the difficulty is kind of uneven, where are times where it's really hard, and then times where it's really easy. And I don't really fault it too much for that. Like Matt said, they had 4 or 5 people programming this game. You can't expect to get the difficulty 100% correct throughout the game. I wish it was a little bit more balanced. Even when I didn't have the overpowered equipment, there were some bosses that were just really easy. And I don't know if it's because I've played through the game before, but I remember getting to the boss and then like killing it in like 15 seconds and being a little bit underwhelmed.
Yeah. When I got to that
how do you
lightning
spell that item you're talking about?
the chrysogrim. How do you spell that?
I don't remember.
K
how
or
to
C? It looks like a big
CRISSAEGRIM.
So is it a random ultra elite drop?
It is
that
a
you can
random
get in
drop
one
that
place?
you have to probably spend 20-30 minutes farming. So in the upside down castle, the library, there's these disembodied like zombie heads that sort of float around.
They're like the Medusas, but they look different. They come like at you and they float around.
Yeah. And
They're called shmoos.
But yeah, you farm them, and it's not like technically the most strong weapon in the game, but it doesn't have any like animation lock to it. Like, so when you attack, you don't slow down at all. So you can just run and walk and attack all at the same time, and it attacks 4 times when you just hit it once.
And it attacks at different levels too, like high, medium, low.
Yeah. So it's really overpowered. There is another weapon that could rival it that speedrunners use a lot. It's the shield rod. Did any of you guys use the shield rod?
I
The
didn't.
shield rod.
I heard some people talk about it.
Will you block and it shoots something?
Well, depending on which shield you have paired with it, it does a different thing. So if you have the shield rod paired with the Alucard shield, you can do like, I think it's like a Hadoken input or something like that. And it powers up the shield, so you can just pull the shield out and then just like run into things, and it kills them.
It's pretty good.
So
This game has heavily inspired a lot of like under $5 indie games today that aren't Metroidvanias too, like Vampire Survivors, Dead Cells, like all of the specials that you get, like the item specials, the heart meter thing. It's like what you get in Vampire Survivors, which are like those roguelites, like the little blinking.
Oh,
thing.
man.
What kind of games are those?
Well,
Roguelike?
they're roguelikes, but Dead Cells is one of my favorite games to come out in the past 10 years or
it's
so.
amazing.
and there's an official Castlevania.
Yeah, and there's a Castlevania DLC for
DLC
that
for
one.
that.
Have you played that, Matt?
Loved it.
Yeah, it's
I was like 250 hours into Dead Cells.
it's like
before
if you get the DLC for the Dead Cells of the Castlevania, it's like playing Symphony of the Night. It has the same vibe,
Totally.
and it's pretty awesome. So
Just side note, if you really like Dead Cells, you got to play that new Prince of Persia.
It's
like
on my
Dead
wish
Cells.
list. I really want to play it.
Dude, best $15 I've spent in a long time. It's so
is it the
fun.
Rogue
Just
Prince
like
of Persia?
No,
Yeah.
well, it's like
It's called the Rogue Prince of Persia, I think.
it's like the Lost
pull it
Crown, isn't it called the Lost Crown?
That's a good one. That's
I think
a
they're
cool
separate ones.
Metroidvania. But there's another one that's like Dead Cells.
Oh.
It's an early beta. Let me pull it up and show you a picture of it. It's called Rogue Prince is the one that I'm talking about, but the other one is it's a really good looking Metroidvania.
Yeah.
Super fun, and they give like the disclaimer that it's early access, but it does not feel early access at all. Just like a really good new cartoony Dead Cells, but it has a skill tree too. So sidebar, but I just wanted you guys to know it's great. You should play it.
Yeah, that one is on my wish list. So yeah, that one looks good. Talking about difficulties and the boss fights and stuff, Clark. How many of you guys got to that lightning boss and died like 2 or 3 times before you figured out what you had to do? You know what I'm talking about? The one that gets. There's like this boss that you have to equip like lightning resistance on, or you just get fried and you just die.
I don't remember. Maybe I just had the lightning stuff already equipped because I don't remember having a hard time with that.
Yeah, it just like shoots lightning at you. It's in the reverse castle. I guess
might have already had the chrysogram, and I might have just killed it. Like,
well, no, that's the thing. It was the one boss I had a hard time with, even though I had the chrysogram.
Did you wind up having to look it up?
Yes, because I have no patience for that.
Well, so that brings up a good point, and I feel like that's the case for all Metroidvania games. Is that you're really walking a fine line between like using a guide and just like being pissed off half the time, like and so like I, especially for these games, like I try to go through it and not use the guide, but I'm like I need to finish this game to some extent. Like I need to get through some of the story to be able to talk about it. And so I looked at a guide, and there was this one part where you have to stand in the clock room. You have to stand in the clock room for like 10 or 20 seconds, and then a statue moves, and you can go. And I was like, how was I ever supposed to figure that one out without a guide?
Well,
so that sort of
Nintendo
stuff is just like,
Power Magazine.
yeah.
You can also use the stopwatch power
to open up the other side.
The other side, yeah. They open up the other. Guy told me that too. And so it's stuff like that where I'm like, come on, like, there's no way. I don't know. Maybe you'd eventually figure it out.
It's just playground talk. Like I would probably get on the phone and call Matt and say, "Hey, Matt, like, do you know what's up with this clock?" Like that's how we figured things out.
Yep.
Yeah, you couldn't even really go. Could you even go on the internet and look stuff up this time?
You
I
could,
guess you could,
but it was like proto game facts, and like it wasn't very organized, and it was all a lot of hearsay.
So one thing that was really making me mad was I was trying to do most of the stuff without a guide, and I was trying to figure out how to get the holy symbol. Is that so you can walk in water?
Oh
right?
Yeah,
because I wanted those boots that made you one pixel bigger. You know what I'm talking? There's a boots that make you 1 pixel taller.
yeah.
So and
Really?
I did not know how to get I could see the area where I need to get to. It's that those sewer areas there towards the beginning, but you need to like. There's a big boulder in the middle, and you need to go cross it as like the wolf, and then go back as like a bat or something like that. And how are you even supposed to know that? Like
you don't. Like you have to.
I had to look it up.
Yeah.
So that's
Was it worth it to be a pixel taller?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically that would make it.
Well, this is the struggle for kids who grew up really short. Like, we'll take any pixel we can get.
I'll walk through that boulder as a wolf and then a bat just to pick up these boots.
I mean, I thought maybe it would make me jump a little bit taller too, but it doesn't.
Well,
you know, the real competitive gamers, they always pick the female protagonist because you're smaller, and so you have less iframes.
Well, you would have had to play the Sega Saturn version in order to play the
you
female
can start
version.
as Maria in the Sega Saturn version.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
You guys were kind of dancing around with a subject that I want to talk about a little bit, and that's exploration in this game, like specifically like the map. This game, after like a certain percentage of the game, probably about, I don't know, maybe when you're about 2/3 of the way of the first regular map, to me it kind of came of like a coloring page, like you're trying to color in all the dots. So I want to talk about that a little bit, exploration. And it's going into some of the frustrations. Let's start with you on this one, T. Like, how did you like find exploration in this game?
I thought it was cool because you have the aspect of leveling up, and so that changes just like the grind that I felt like kind of defined some of the experience, my experience with Metroid in particular. That like there's at least while you're lost, while you're trying to find something, like you're getting something out of it. Like you're finding cool items, you're leveling up your stats, like, and that's cool. That being said, like I just said, like there's just going to be moments where you're like, there's nothing there's nothing telling you where to go. And the map is big, and you can walk from one end to the other and be none the wiser for like the next place that you need to go. And so that is cool in that like they've made a map that it's kind of interesting to explore. There's some rewards for doing so. But at the end of the day, like if you don't know how to progress the story, like you're just going to be wandering around this map, pseudo open world, nothing to do kind of thing. So I found the exploration sometimes very frustrating.
For the most part, they give you pretty good signposts on what you're supposed to do next. You'll come up to a thing and it'll say, "Mist could pass."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Mist could pass? What's that supposed to be?" And then eventually you get the thing that you can change your form to a mist, and then you're like, guess what? Mist can pass. And you'll as you go along, you'll see like, oh, there's a room up there, but I can't jump high enough. And you're like, oh, then you get the double jump. Then you're like, I got the double jump now. I can go back there and jump up there. For the most part, they do a pretty good job at that. But
Matt, did you find yourself when you were playing this game trying to like fill in as many of the squares? Like, are you a completionist in that way?
Yeah, I definitely like. I'm like, as much as I love these games, I get lost all the time, and I find myself circling frequently and often. I just go crazy and like get lost in the game. But to Trevor's point, like, at least you do level up. You don't feel as bad for being lost in this game because you're kind of grinding levels up. Whereas Metroid, it was super annoying when you get lost. But I also think that this was one of the first that had those travel points, like from all the way across the map. I don't remember that at a lot of other previous games, and that changes a lot.
yeah, those are nice.
Yeah.
Does make, yeah.
I was gonna say, like that was really nice. I think there's some things that you get later in other future entries in this genre where you could select your point that you want to warp to. This one you have to kind of go in and out of them in I think it's counterclockwise manner until you get to your way. So that was a little bit annoying, but
I also like when you level up that you get a nice little LBGT sheen that goes across your body. It looked pretty cool for the era. Don't you remember?
Yeah, and it's very Twilight-esque.
yeah. Well, graphics are something we're gonna get into, and I think really like even to this day, like it's like the top tier of graphics, and like those animations that you're talking about play into that. But let's just wrap up our discussion here on the gameplay. Like, what is missing from this entry that you guys see in modern Metroidvanias that you wish you could port into this game? And maybe Cam, let's start with you on this. Do you see anything big that's missing?
Not really. The biggest thing is more of like a wish fulfillment was kind of been filled with Dead Cells, right? Like a rogue-like version of this game, maybe, where you can get a randomized version of the castle, maybe. And I know some people do randomizers and stuff like that too. So, but for the most part, I think this game is pretty perfect. Like, I don't have any qualms with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about T? Do you see anything missing from this game that you wish you could backport into it?
As far as the gameplay is specifically concerned, we already kind of talked about how like you can choose your style, and in some ways the game rewards that, but in other ways it doesn't make a huge difference really at all. Like you could just hack and slash your way through with a sword, and so I found myself just kind of defaulting to not really caring about the experimentation with the different items as much, because I had something that worked and I just like didn't feel the motivation to do so because I didn't feel like it was rewarded too much. So I'd be interested to see a little bit more, like the game unfolds a little bit differently, a little bit more of a varied experience when it comes to your equipment.
Yeah. And what about you, Matt? Do you have anything that you would backport into it if you could?
Through the modern lens, I think a difficulty would be cool. I think a skill tree. Well, there kind of is items that are unlockable, and you can change that. But a skill tree of like, like a common roguelite would have is always really cool.
Yeah. I like that idea. I think that would be really awesome and take this game to another level. That would be cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's jump into it. We're going to go into the story a little bit of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Now, Dracula's castle rises in a cycle every 1,000 years, but the cycle's broken in this game, and it rises early. So, Cam, maybe you can kind of pick us up from here. Like, what is the story, just high level, and how did you enjoy it?
Well, Alucard, he's awoken and he finds out that his dad's castle has come back early, like he said. So you go back and the game starts with Richter Belmont. I tried which Belmont was it? Richter Belmont, you kill Dracula, and then it goes on to the beginning of this when Alucard's running
Which was
through
a flashback to Rondo
of Blood.
Rondo of Blood, yeah.
Yeah, so then the castle has appeared in the sky. You see it through a little cutscene, and Alucard is running to get in before the gate closes, and he hops in and he jumps in just in time before the gate closes. And so you're there to investigate why the castle has appeared and explore the castle. Basically, the high-level story is Richter Belmont has become the master of this castle for some reason that Alucard's trying to find out. And you're investigating the castle, and you eventually go and you have to fight the master of the castle, which is Richter. Now, depending on how you play this, you could either kill Richter as the last boss, and the game ends right there. You killed the master of the castle, and that's it. The castle disappears, and you get the crappy ending. Or if you do a little digging, you find out that Richter's being controlled or being shafted, as Clark likes to say. He's being controlled by a shaft. And so if you get the good end, if you get the special glasses that let you peep who's controlling Richter, you can kill the little flying orb thing that's controlling him. And that's when the reverse castle comes down. Then you have to traverse through the reverse castle to kill your father, who is the true boss of everything. So.
Yeah. So, Matt, is this story like breaking any ground for you? Did you enjoy the story?
I think that I probably missed a large piece of the story because I don't think I kept going on the upside down castle piece.
Really?
No, I guess I'm kind of a purist in that regard. Like if you look at my Steam games, I don't 100% anything. I play the main story, and if I go to the end and I beat the boss, then I'm like, I beat this game. And I don't ever do new game pluses, but I'm actually thinking that I may have missed out on a major piece of the story on this.
So did you got to the upside down castle, right? But you just didn't...
Yeah, but I'm just thinking like, this is going to be exactly the same, and I didn't keep going.
Oh, no!
You should definitely pick it back up because that's kind of where the challenge of the game really starts for me. And it's actually really interesting traversing the upside down castle because it's obviously was built to traverse it normal way, but like when you're traversing it upside down, it's actually kind of trying to write left-handed or with your non-dominant hand.
It feels a little weird.
It feels weird traversing it. But there are some really pretty cool bosses in the Upside Down Castle that I think that you'll enjoy fighting. And then, of course, like, when you beat the bosses, they drop, like, a relic that's like a piece of... It's actually kind of a callback to the second Castlevania, because they're pieces of Vlad, like Vlad's heart, I think, and...
Dracula's heart.
But are they the same bosses, or are they new bosses?
They're
new bosses.
They're new bosses.
Oh, well, I screwed up. I should have kept playing.
Yeah. Yeah, new bosses, and they're really difficult until you get the Chrysogrim. Once you get the Chrysogrim, then they're easy. But, yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I beat the game, and I didn't know about the Upside Down Castle, and I killed Richter, and I was like, that's it? That's kind of, like, uninspiring, like a way to end the game. And it wasn't until I think I probably talked to Brian Sperry or someone else, they're like, no, you didn't get the full game. You got to go get the glasses so that you can kill the real boss who's controlling Richter. And then you get the Upside Down Castle. I remember back in 98 or whenever it was I played it, it was actually kind of a revelation for me that I wasn't even halfway through the game at that point. I thought that I had finished the game, but I hadn't really. And so it was pretty cool at that point. So
Metal Gear Solid 5, man. It's just Metal Gear Solid 5.
Well, you do have in the story, you have Maria there, who's also searching through the castle. And you mostly just meet her every once in a while.
She's looking for Richter too.
Yeah, she's looking for Richter too, and she kind of helps move the story along as through some narration and some awesome voice acting.
Yeah, very. T, did the story do anything for you?
No, it did not. I mean, it's there. The story's there, and you're going through a castle, and there's a reason for you to do so, and that's great. But nothing crazy there. Yeah, the voice acting is great. It's my favorite part. I was actually we were just on our break just now. I was looking up quotes to drop on the gang, but I'll let you play the game because that's where the real magic is.
So I mean, ultimately, like a lot of games from this era, the story is just kind of like set dressing, whatever. It's not really super important to the game. It does drive things along, and it's interesting enough, even if it's told through bad voice acting. It's still pretty cool that you're playing as Dracula's son and you're out to get your father. And if I haven't watched a lot of the Netflix Castlevania series, but you could tell they took direct inspiration from this game.
Solid.
There's
all these characters appeared in other Castlevania games, so they are carrying on the story that's kind of cohesive. In fact, Alucard was a playable character in Castlevania 3.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this isn't his first time in it, and like there's a point in this game where before you fight the succubus, you get like a flashback to Alucard's mother's death.
Oh, yeah.
Where she's gonna get burned at the stake.
Yeah.
And that's kind of canonically why Dracula goes evil. And it's, I mean, I guess spoilers to you, Matt, but like when you fight Dracula at the end, he talks about that. Like you have like a therapy session with your dad about your mom.
Yeah.
That's the first intro to the Castlevania anime. On
yes,
Netflix,
yes,
which is great.
Yeah,
which is good.
So you can tell that, like, even though like, it's a 1997 video game, and it's got a lot of the shortcomings of stories, and it's mostly there just as set dressing, like I said. But it was solid enough for it to be adapted as the main part of the story to kick off the Castlevania, like you said, anime on Netflix.
Is there any way to play this game without original hardware or emulation? Like, can you buy a PC port of this?
No.
So I think the only way to legit buy it is on Android or iOS right now. And
If you have a PS3, you can still get, or a Vita, you can still get it on the PlayStation Store for PS3. Anyone that does those PlayStation Classics.
yeah,
So I guess you can get it on
It's
PS4,
crazy.
right?
They don't port this to Steam.
they need to. Like they've ported a whole bunch of other Castlevania games, and but just not this one. I don't know why.
I don't know why.
It's a shame.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about I think might be the strongest aspect of this game, and it's the graphics. Let's kick this off a little bit. The artist of this game is Ayami Kojima, and let's kick it off with you on this one, T. Like, did you notice any, anything about the art direction that stood out to you in this game?
Yeah, so it doesn't look like a PlayStation 1 game at all, for better or for worse. For me, and we were kind of talking about this, that the style is pretty classic. Like we've mentioned a few times, like those pure like 2D side scrollers, like it hasn't gone away. It's changed. It looks sharper, cleaner, whatever. You've got some nice looking Hollow Knight looking games these days, but like 2D at its core like is cool. And I think that for that reason it's aged really well, in the sense that like it doesn't look jarring. It looks good. The enemies are all interesting. The combat animations are cool. The bosses are all diverse. So I did enjoy the graphics. Obviously, it's older, but I thought it was really interesting that this was a PS1 game. It doesn't look like your usual PS1 game because they were all trying to make it as cutting edge as possible. But here they were, doing something very very, what's the word I'm looking for? Stable, something very known. They're walking a well-worn path. They're just walking it, with next-gen graphics, and it looks good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Matt, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I love these graphics. I mean, I just think this kind of stuff's timeless. And I think that, what's that expression, that imitation's the most sincere form of flattery? You could get 100 games like this on Steam that are not as good, but they're all taking inspiration from it to look like it, to feel like it. Like there's a game on Steam it's like a Metroidvania that is like the spiritual successor of this. It's like called Blood something.
Bloodstained.
You know what I'm talking?
Ritual of the
Yeah.
Night. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great. It's good. It doesn't have like the same nostalgia as this, but you can clearly tell it's been inspired of it.
Well, it's got
I
the
think
same
they hold up.
one of the same directors as this, and it's got the same artist that does.
Yeah, but the art style is a little bit different.
Well,
They
it's
ha-
3D. It's
yeah,
not
they have
2D.
the 3D, and to me, that's not as good.
Yeah. Cam, what was your favorite enemy or boss design?
Oh, well, that's pretty easy. It's the writhing mass of bodies that's in the catacombs down at the bottom. That's the most
circular
the big
mass?
circular mass that shakes and bodies just fly out everywhere. It's so jarring and different than
It's so metal.
Yeah, it's metal, and the music that's playing you got that prog music that's just masses of bodies, naked bodies just getting thrown at you while you huck at it. That was my favorite. It's by far the most interesting and different thing that you'll ever do. Although there's tons of bosses in this that are awesome.
Yeah.
So
T, did you have a favorite enemy or boss that you fought in this game?
Oh, favorite enemy or boss? Any standouts for me? I thought the Colosseum, who you fight there, the werewolf and the Minotaur.
Oh.
That was the last part that I played, so that probably is why it stands out to me the most. But
In the arena, right?
in the arena, I don't know. It's just the whole visual setting and how everything is so different. That's where it really hit home for me. Was that each area had its own vibe, and so I just kind of noticed that they were really doing some good stuff. That's where I appreciated that.
Well, I just want to make sure to comment here too that it's not just the art direction. I think the art direction is really cool. All the pictures, the portraits, you pull it up and you see the portrait of Alucard, or Alucard's talking to Maria. That's all directly Kojima's art. And so it's just really cool to see the art star brought into those pictures. But also just Alucard himself looks a lot like the concept art that Kojima provided. But it's more than just that, though. It's the way the game moves. It's so silky smooth. I remember just the first time I pulled this game up and then just learning about the backdash, and the backdash is just so silky smooth. It just feels so natural, and it's so well animated. It's it feels like there's 60 frames of total of animation while you're doing the backdash.
yeah, and
They've got layers in the background that look and really add to it too. It brings it alive. There's a phrase for it. I don't know the name of it. But
Parallax?
Something layering. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
parallax. Yeah.
also
They master it.
Yeah, just the animation of you jumping down and hitting the ground. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but that is one of the awesomest. You hit the ground with the ground pound, whatever. He stands up and he throws his cape back. It's pretty cool.
It's got so much
It's
style.
so metal.
Yeah, watching Alucard move around the castle is pretty fun. They really did little details that you kind of notice after a while, and you're like, man, they really put some love into this.
And it's more than just that. You know those familiars that you get? Those familiars have hidden animations. Did you guys find any of the hidden animations for the familiars?
Well, the biggest one I know is when you have the bat familiar and you yourself turn your bat, the bat familiar gets horny for you.
little hearts.
I will say, I think this is probably the earliest example of hair physics in video games.
Yeah. It's
'Cause
cool.
his hair is flapping in the wind.
Yeah.
Hot.
If you have the fairy familiar and you like stop and like just don't put the controller down, the fairy familiar will come and like sit on your shoulder.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
then when you start walking again, like the fairy familiar like falls off and goes into this animation of just falling off of you, and it's just like touches like that are just, you could just tell this was a labor of love, and it is just.
Sure.
I can't believe that a game from 1997 had so much effort put into the animations of this game, and that's not to just say like every single boss, like it looks so well crafted and individually animated. Like it's crazy.
Did you know that you can sit in all the chairs?
I was trying it out, man. Tell you what.
You
what
can
an
sit
experience.
down in the chairs.
Well,
chair
my
simulator.
favorite thing though is like, of course, the confession room. Did you get to the confession
I
room?
didn't know. I was reading about that.
Oh.
There's a ghost or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, the confession room, you can sit down and like give confession, and the first time you do it, like they'll give you something, like some food or something. But if you do it again and again, like they attack you.
Is this in the chapel?
Like it's like up by where the bell towers are.
Oh, really?
Like you go into like one of the side rooms in the bell tower.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I didn't sit there.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you could sit in the chairs by that point. I didn't realize how next gen this game truly was.
Yeah,
The
it's
chairs
like
were all sittable.
so many like
Do you-
crazy little details.
Did you notice, like, there were loading times back then
Yes.
on the early PS? And the way they got around it is the little corridors. Did you notice?
Yep.
It says
Have
CD.
A CD.
Yeah.
It's a CD with
Yeah.
a picture of a CD on it.
I was
It's
wondering
loading.
if that's what that was.
Yeah, it's loading.
That's
the next.
really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So it makes it seem more seamless than it really is, because you
really
you
cool.
have to still go load it, but you could do your moonwalk back through there while the CD's loading. It's pretty cool.
Moonwalk.
If you
There
watch
were
C-
some serious loading times back in this day, though.
yeah,
too.
that's one thing that I'm glad that we don't have to deal with as much anymore. Do you guys just have anything else to add to this game? As obviously, I still think it's visually stunning. I still can't believe how good it looks.
Yeah, you can't get it wrong. You can't get wrong with like the 2D graphics, and then they combine that with like these little details, the fine tuning that you could do with that level of hardware. Just looks good. Looks good for a 2D game. It hasn't really aged that bad at all.
Great death animations all the way around.
Yeah. All right, well, let's transition to talking kind of a related subject. Let's talk about the music in this game. Matt, let's start this with you. So, I feel like the PlayStation is sort of my awakening to really loving game music and what it could do. It was way more geared to that than what the other platforms were offering at that time. What did Symphony of the Night bring, like, orally? Not orally,
Orally.
orally.
Don't want it in your mouth.
Not in your mouth, orally. to
Whatever,
you.
dude.
So, like, you're right. Like, a lot of video games before this, it was just like 8-bit and 16-bit games were pretty rough with the audio and the music.
No bedroom music there. Yeah.
But the very first, if you play the audio for the very first Castlevania on NES, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I love
song.
that music too. I'm totally in love with that, but I think there was a step up here. I think there's a definite generation shift here.
Oh, for sure. But it does still stay true to that feeling. And like I said, it feels serious. It doesn't feel hokey, and it feels serious. It feels dark. It still feels similar to like that, where it came from, and I really like that.
T, coming in it with new, fresh ears. What did you think of the sound design in this?
I thought it was good. I thought it fit the vibe perfectly. The quality was cool. It was good. Obviously, the PS1 was really getting good with the sound quality, and just like the gothic prog rock metal hybrid that you constantly bombarded with was just perfect.
Yeah, the boss
It's just
music.
so over the top most of the time.
Boss music is awesome.
And yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
Cam, anything to add here?
Yeah, I mean, in our notes here, you have marked down one of my favorite tracks, so I'll let you talk about that. But Trevor also talked about the boss music, that it's pretty awesome. You get the heavy metal guitar with like the organ and stuff going too. It's classic prog rock. I feel like, yeah, it sets the mood and sets the tone. The one thing I do have to complain about though is the music you get after the credits roll. That music is just the worst. you have some like some alto sax playing back there with some like 80s like lounge singer going at it, and it's like
Okay, now I see the Japanese.
Yeah.
Konami did. I mean, the song at the end of Metal Gear, which was before this one, "The Best Is Yet to Come." That's one of my favorite ones, and that one has like a flute on it and some guitar, and it's soft, but it kind of. I think they were trying to go for something similar to this. It just didn't. It was too cringe.
I do think that Metal Gear came out after this game.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry.
But yeah, I mean, this was like CD quality stuff, and you could really tell that, like, in fact, did you guys know that you could take the PlayStation disc and put it in a regular CD player, and it would play the music?
Really? You can skip through the tracks?
Really?
Yeah.
Just the music?
Yeah, and
Cool.
it's pretty crazy. Like it sounds really cool, and it sounds great.
I remember doing that with some of our PlayStation games.
Yeah.
Would it play the voice acting tracks in order to, or
Okay,
just the song?
Let's pull it up here.
As you can see, this is a PlayStation Black Disc. Cut number 1 contains computer data, so please don't play it. But you probably won't listen to me anyway, will you?
So you put this in, and it would play this track.
Can you hear that, Matt?
Who was the guy that sings?
This isn't in the game though.
No, this
That's
song's
not even in the game.
And I think that was the voice actor of
Alucard, right?
Alucard
Yeah.
that says that.
This CD recording.
So yeah, you put the black CD PlayStation disc in a CD player, and it would play.
That's
this.
wild. Was that for all games or just this one?
Not
If-
all
if
games.
the game supported it.
Some games supported.
So they had to. Interesting. That's
Yeah, they had to specifically support it.
Man, that's.
It's pretty crazy. I do have a favorite track. It's the track that plays in the Upside Down library. It's called, let me pull it up here, Lost Paintings. And it's just kind of generically eerie, but great sound for a library as you're going through it. So I might underlay it here in the podcast recording so the listeners can hear it. But almost every track sets a pretty good mood for this game.
Yeah, and there's some varied tracks too. There's like a waltz that plays, like you can do a waltz, and there's one with a harpsichord.
Yep.
The harpsichord track is always interesting to hear. Hear some of the different instruments. So.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as I think we'll just kind of have that be our discussion. I think we've already kind of gone over and over the voice acting. I think that
we could spend another hour on the voice acting.
yeah, voice acting was not good. But I mean, Matt, would you say the voice acting ultimately detracts from the game or adds to it?
It doesn't detract. Well, I gotta say, if there is anything that is corny in the game, it is that. But to go play it again 30 years later, it is nostalgic. So it doesn't take away from it now. I would think to play it for the first time for Trevor, it'd be like, what the hell is this? Did they mean to do that? Is this a joke? Is this a mistake? Did they not know that was in there?
I was not expecting. I did not know that was like a meme of this
It's
game.
pretty
that
much a
the voice
meme,
acting
yeah.
was bad, and I popped it up, and that was exactly.
Yeah, it was one of those
And I was
memes back in the day. We would always say, "Oh, Alucard."
And I don't know if you
I
guys.
guess that there's another game where they do it again, like the later ones on the PS3 and PS4 Castlevanias. I swear there's like a clip you can find on YouTube of him saying that same line,
Oh.
but like better in like full animation. So I don't know. Like, they definitely didn't spend much money on that.
No. Well, and I think the first game to really take that to the next level was the game that we talked about a couple months ago, Matt, was Metal Gear Solid. Like, that was the real revolution.
Peak.
Yeah,
Peak.
like, that's like, okay, this is a level up moment. Now, games have a new high water to hit. By the time this game had come out, I can't think of any game that had good voice acting at this point.
King's Quest V.
Peak.
I think, I don't know, did Resident Evil even have voice?
I'm pretty
acting in
sure.
it?
Well, I mean, there wasn't the famous, like, you almost became a Jill sandwich. Wasn't that totally, that was voice acted?
You don't belong
That
in
was
this
just
world.
text, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm
It was
pretty
not
sure.
by my
I don't know, we'll have to
hand
look
I'm
that up.
once again given flesh.
But it'd be cool if
I
you
was
put in, like,
called here by
they tried to fix it with the
who wish
ports.
to pay me
With the
tribute.
different professionals, actually.
Dracula, die now and leave this world. You'll never belong here.
Oh, but this world invited me. Your own kind called me forth with praise and tribute.
Tribute? You steal men's souls and make them your slaves. Perhaps the same could be said of all religions.
You're a thief. You steal men's souls, their freedom.
Freedom is always sacrificed to faith, good hunter. Or are you truly here by choice?
All I'm here for is you. To hell with your heresy. You're nothing but a blight on mankind.
Your words are as empty as your soul. Mankind ill needs a savior such as you. What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. Have at you.
Ha! Mankind. A cesspit of hatred and lies. Fight for them then, and die for their sins.
All right, well, let's start wrapping this conversation up here. So, before we move into sort of tier ranking this game and how we feel it holds up today, I want to give you guys a chance to just add any parting thoughts, that like miscellaneous things about this game that we haven't had a chance to mention yet. And let's start with you, Trev.
No, nothing to add. I'll give my wrap up here in a second. Let me go first. When we get to that.
Okay, Cam, is there any miscellaneous things that parting thoughts you want to get in before we do the tier?
I mean, I just love playing through this time, and every time you play through, you could probably find something new in this game. I remember listening to a podcast about this to prepare for this, and someone had mentioned the chair sitting thing, and he mentioned that there's a boss fight when you go fight Nosferatu or that other Dracula. I forget what he's called in this game.
Yeah, they're made of bats and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, the bats and stuff like that. But before you sit in the game, he's just kind of sitting there. You can sit down in that chair and just kind of chill with him, like you're just hanging out with him. It's just like little things like that give the ambiance, and there's some the character design, everything there's a little creepiness to this game that's just a little off, that kind of leaves you on your edge, and I think that this game hits that perfectly. So that's just. Yeah, the ambiance of the game is the last thing I want to leave people with. That is the feeling that you get with this game. It kind of immerses you, even though it's not like a lifelike game at all. But it truly, with the music and the character design and everything, it immerses you into this game.
And taking what you're saying there and combining it with something that Matt said earlier, like with the parallax scrolling, there's like one point in the game where you're like going through like this walled, columned garden area, and in the parallax background you can see like this big eye thing floating in the background.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
So cool. I mean, it's just stuff that they didn't
Little
have to
things
do.
like that just make the game.
Yeah. What about you, Matt? Any miscellaneous things you want to add?
No, I just, it's been said, but I think you can tell the devs loved what they were doing. They cared about it. They thought it was cool too. You can tell they played it a bunch, thought about it. Like, I just think that this is something you don't get a lot with games today. There's a lot of slop. Just like, okay, so compare this to the new Star Wars Outlaw game.
which I haven't played.
It's soulless.
I've seen it, but
It's soulless, but like this has got a soul.
it's so hard,
So
yeah.
I don't know how to really put my finger on it more than what Cam said. That it's just got an ambiance and a feeling about it that's legit. It's
Yeah.
authentic.
One last thing I wanted to mention is the only time you actually get to throw a whip in this game is when you're Richter at the beginning. Other than that, just other
Yeah.
swords. No whips.
That's a good point.
Castlevania, no whips.
yeah,
That's a good point.
they're using swords mainly, but there's. I guess this does lead me to. I didn't think about this, but I want to mention this. How many times did you guys use consumable items in this game? Did you guys use consumable items very much in this game?
First one I
I
used
think
was
I
just
used
today.
potions a bunch.
Oh,
I just used the library card for the first time today, and that
Okay.
was it. I haven't used anything else.
I would say that was one thing that was kind of weak for me in this game were consumable items because it was really annoying. You had to go into the menu,
Put it into your
put
hand.
it into your hand, and then use it.
And then
right?
and then unequip it or accidentally use it again.
Well, then once you used it, you had to go back in and then equip something else in
Yeah.
that hand.
Yeah.
Or I went through a point where I just had my potions equipped to my hand, and if I needed to use it, I would just use it instead of a shield.
Yeah. It's not really. It's a nitpick, but I just wanted to. That's something I remember I wanted to ask you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's bring this baby home. Trevor, your wish was to kick it off on the tier ranking discussion. Just real quick before you do, just kind of a reminder, the way we sort of tier rank this is just on a standard tier ranking, S through F. We also put numbers on here so that we can kind of average out our score at the end. So go ahead and kick us off and how you would rank this today.
Yeah, so I wanted to go first because, as usual, I think I give lower scores than everybody else. I want to say that I think that this is it's a good game, but I was actually the most disappointed out of all the games that we've played so far, and let me explain. All the other games that we've played, like, I had no expectations going in. So when we played King's Quest V, like, that was it, you know.
It blew all your expectations out of the water because you had zero expectations.
I was like, this is a game? So when I played this one, I'd heard so much about Symphony of the Night that, like, I think it was probably too hyped up for me to go back and play it at this point in time. So I'm giving it a C+, a 3.5. Again, like I said, it doesn't mean it's a bad game. In fact, I would say it's one of the better games objectively out of all the games that we've played so far. It just didn't live up to the hype in my mind. And if it came out today, and that's kind of like how I kind of rate these games. Like, if it came out today, what would be the splash? It's a good game, but it wouldn't keep up with some of the other Metroidvanias that have really dialed in what this game started. So the nostalgia is there, right? The lineage of Metroidvania is there, but I give it a C+.
Okay. Cam, you're next.
Well, I really look at this game as like a pinnacle. It was like the height of Metroidvania, and after this game, until maybe the Game Boy Advance games that Matt talked about, there really wasn't anything that could ever really even come close to this game. And playing it today, I don't feel like it's dropped off that much at all. I was playing on a Steam Deck in an Airbnb in my little thing, and I still felt sucked into this story. I didn't have to have a huge screen or anything like that to play it. I had my headphones on, and I made sure I was there by myself, but I felt sucked into this game. So I feel like this game is pretty much Metroidvania perfected. There's really not much else I feel you can add to this game. So I'm going to give this game a 5. There probably is a few things that could be done better today, like most notably voice acting and maybe some of the CGI. The CGI wasn't very great. It was okay, but that part doesn't hold up today. But other than that, maybe a more involved story. But this game is pretty much perfection. Yeah. So.
Well, I agree a lot with what Cam said. I think that this game suffers a little bit from difficulty and balance at times, especially if you know what you're doing. You can kind of break the game and it becomes really easy, which I think brings it down a little bit. But I just love so much about this game, and I love exploring the map. I love the secrets. I love the boss designs, the art, the animations of this game. It's all just lovingly crafted. It's an amazing game. So it's so hard to believe. I played all of the Game Boy Advance games, and I played the DS games too. Those are all really good. I would say some of them were like in the Aria of Sorrow game and Dawn of Sorrow game. There's some things I really like they did in there with like soul collecting when it's kind of building upon the rare drops in this game. I think did it a little bit better. But ultimately, though, if you're looking at it as a whole, I don't think Castlevania has reached this height since this game, which is it's kind of amazing to say that because this game came out almost, what did you say, 30 years ago, Matt? Like, yeah, it's almost 30 years ago this game came out, and it still hasn't hit that height, which is amazing that they came out with something so good. But it's also kind of sad that this Castlevania itself hasn't hit this high since then. So I'm agreeing with Cam, and I'm going to do an A/5 for this game. So, Matt, we're going to give you the final word on this game as you tier rank it and bring us home.
Yeah, so it can't be the greatest game of all if it came out now. It's just, you have to view it through the lens of the time that it was in, and at the time it was, but it can't be now. I definitely give it a 5 and A as well. And I'm sad that I'm glad they did follow-up games to this that were still in the same genre because they are good, they're playable, they're replayable, they're great for handhelds. But I'm sad that they gave up on it and just like turned it into a whole new genre with like
Lords of Shadow.
That's it. And I played those games too, and they're fun, but they're not this. And so I think that, like we said with Super Metroid, it's becoming a more niche genre for, I guess, old guys like us now. Sadly, there's a 28-year-old friend of ours, and he calls all the music that we heard in high school dad rock.
Yep.
And so these are probably dad video games.
Yeah,
too, I'd imagine. But yeah, 5A.
Okay, great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this panel. It was fun doing this live with you. Matt, if you're ever in town, we'd love to have you over here doing this live too. That would be great. So you're always invited. With that, we've wrapped up this podcast. Thanks for joining TwinCast, and we'll see you next time.
Mr. Stevens?
Yeah, there we are. You can see all three of us.
Oh, look at you guys.
We're in like we look like we're all professional here.
Dude, this looks like I'm about to get fired.
Please.
Nintendo 64 made me hate video games.
Really?
For a solid year. I actually gave up on it. Was like 6th grade for me, 7th grade for you guys, right?
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
right.
about right.
Super Nintendo was incredible, and the 3D sucked.
Shoes off, guys. Sorry.
Oh, I need to get the foot cam.
Oh man.
That's how we're going to monetize.
Well, when we get a Patreon, we'll put a camera underneath this table.
Patreon exclusive.
You get to see all our bear tootsies. Hey, they're not supposed to know they have socks.
Yeah.
Don't give the goods away for free.
Yeah. Just a sneak peek, guys. More to follow.
Look at this abomination. The controller's so bad.
That's really bad. Like, why would they do this? Like, what were they thinking?
So I was playing. I had Star Fox, and they have the controls set. Did you ever play Star Fox?
No.
So like this is like a roll to the right. I'm like
Do a barrel roll.
do a barrel roll.